Hey guys, this is Kate, and I'm going to make some cards with my Hip Kit Club January kit. So I'm first taking a piece of vellum and some wax paper, which is one of my favorite crafting tools, and I put 4 little glue dots in the corners to hold it down. I'm going to take the Tim Holtz Distress Paint and Picked Raspberry that comes in one of the add-on kits and just apply that all over the vellum. I wasn't sure if this was going to work. I tested it out before this video, and it works awesome. It dries super fast and it doesn't warp the paper too bad. It looks like it does, but in the end it turns out pretty flat, which I was surprised by because a lot of times your paper will buckle worse than this vellum did. So I'm just making sure that that's nice and dry, and like I said, it dries. It's pretty much already dry. I'm just double checking, just making sure. And then I'm going to take, I take my 9.5 by 11 paper and I cut it in half and keep it in a stack to use for card bases, just so I have them ready to go. So I was just getting a white card base there and scoring it. And then I'm going to cut down this piece. Now, if I had thought about, in hindsight, I would have cut this before I put the glue dots and the paint on it, because it made it a little bit tricky to use in the trimmer since it had those glue dots on it. But I'm just going to cut this. I believe I cut it a little bit smaller. Yes, a little bit smaller than the front of a standard A2 size card. So it's 4.25 by 5.5, and the vellum piece is 4 by 5.25. And now I'm going to take one of these little embellishments, and I had already taken it apart before I started filming, and on the top part, the heart was red and I wanted it to match better, so I applied some of the Picked Raspberry paint over it. And then this is the bottom piece, and this was actually a lighter pink, but I wanted it to be black. So I'm just painting it black. And those embellishments are stuck together with glue dot or pop dimensional adhesive. And it's not super sticky, so you can really easily take them apart, paint them, and put them back together, or use them as separate pieces. So you'll see here on the back the pop dot actually stuck to the wax paper, but that's okay because I want to put this flat anyhow on the card. So I'm just going to use some glossy accents, and I'm just going around the little scalloped edge and then some in the center. I don't want too much because I don't want it to mush out underneath and show up on the vellum. So I'm just going to apply that, and then I'm going to take the top portion, and I took that little pop dot off because I want to kind of arrange that those petals or whatever it is a little bit more accordion. And then I'm just using some glossy accents to make sure that it's nice and stuck down. So that is the first card, and it was so quick and easy to alter that embellishment, and you can do it with all the rest of them. So for this card, I'm just going to try to find an ink that matches some of the papers, and I pulled out my 3 pink Hero Arts mid-tone shadow inks, and I end up using the Passion Flower one. I think you'll see here, I'll hold up the pattern paper to match it. None of them are really a perfect match, but you know, it's close enough. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the 2 arrow stamps from the stamp set, and I just stuck them on my block a little bit offset from each other, and I'm going to use them to create a background. And this is really easy to do with the arrows because you can easily line up the point of one and the end of the other. And I just want to make them run off the page so it looks like a continual background. And with one thing with this Hero Arts ink is that it does look a little bit splotchy at first, but it dries pretty smooth. And this is an acrylic stamp set, and it worked really well. I like this stamp set a lot, and I like to try to find ways to use my stamps in different ways because I love background stamps, and there are a ton on the market. But I mean, my goodness, you could have, several drawers full of background stamps just to get all of the ones that you like. So it's fun to be able to take components from another stamp set and create your own background stamps with them. I think that that's a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed doing this. So now I'm just taking a whole bunch of scraps and trying to find something to work on this card. I really like to wait to make cards till that I'm done with my kit or almost done with my kit, and then use up what's left. So I'm just gonna kind of rifle through these and find something that works. I'm gonna try a couple of different options. But I find this piece of paper. I'm gonna first take my card front and cut it down a little bit to fit on this craft card base, so it has a little bit of a craft border. The piece of paper that I end up putting on top of this background is the other part of the, okay, that doesn't make any sense. You haven't seen it yet, Kate. Need to slow my roll here on this voiceover. I'm getting ahead of myself. So what I'm going to end up putting on top of this piece of paper is another scrap where I have punched out a whole bunch of confetti. And at first I put it with the heart side up, and then I decided to switch it. And I'm glad that I did, and I like the way that it works because it's actually the top portion of that piece of paper that I already have on there. So the colors work out perfectly in that it's the top two shades of pink that go with those bottom two. Now, I have put a whole line of adhesive onto this paper, and I decided to flip it over, which means I still have a whole line of adhesive on there. And if I go to put it in an envelope, it's going to stick to the envelope. So apparently I decided to ignore it right now, and then I'll go back and use my little adhesive remover tool and get it off, which is an awesome tool. And I think I've done a few voiceovers today, so if I didn't mention it in this video, then I mentioned it in my last one. That's a great tool to have. I'm not a huge tool person. I don't have a lot of tools, but this is one that I use all the time. It's just great for removing adhesive, and if you make a lot of mistakes like I do, then it's a great one to have. So in the first card, I showed how I altered these crepe paper layered embellishments to match your card or your project. And in this case, I just left it the way it is because I liked the way it looked. I thought it was perfect. So there's going to be a third card at the end here in a minute. And I told you in the beginning that I tested out the distress paint on vellum first to see if it worked, and so I wanted to use that piece also. So I then took a silhouette die cut and traced it on some Dear Lizzy paper and hand cut those out, outlined them, took some of the wood veneer to create the title #February14, and painted it with the picked raspberry also. So here's that card. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you real soon. Bye.